Good afternoon, YouTubers. Joe Kersey here on Saturday, November 9th at 4:10 in the afternoon Eastern Time. Now, it's been a relatively long day for me, as the people who watch me on a regular basis know. I tend to wake up very early in the morning, basically the middle of the night. Albeit I've generally had 5 to 6 hours sleep by then, and I can't get back to sleep for a variety of reasons. Quite often I feel like I've been beaten with a pipe. That happens. Nobody's come in and beaten me with a pipe, but that's what I feel sometimes. Well, a lot of the time. So I read. I used to always read, but now I either horse with my computer or I read. And now that I've gotten some really good stuff to read that's engaging me, I've gone back to reading in the middle of the night. And so the last few nights I've made a good start on this N.T. Wright book I showed you the other day, Paul and the Faithfulness of God, as well as that book of essays I'd shown you. I'm sort of working on them at the same time. And, making good headway. I got kind of in a bit of a swamp this morning. He had referenced in a footnote he had drawn an analogy between a passage in one of the apocryphal books, 4 Ezra, and 2 Thessalonians 2. And so I had to go back and review 4 Ezra briefly, and which in the NRSV is called 2 Esdras. And then 2 Thessalonians 2, and verse 6 is particularly problematic, and so you go to the Greek, to see what the Greek says, and then I went to Calvin's commentaries on. I have a set of his commentaries. And so I went to his commentaries on 2 Thessalonians 2 and read that, and sort of seemed to work out in my mind what was going on. And so it was a very intellectually worthwhile morning, early morning. And excuse me, Paul scampered off to work today. His was a 9 o'clock start, so he didn't have to go in or leave till around 8:30. And then I wanted to be sure to be ready to watch this Russian spacewalk today, which commenced around 9:30. But there's a lot of lead-in where they talk about what they're going to do and so forth, starting around 9. So I hurried up, got tidied up, and was there for the start of this stuff. And of course, a lot of this is a PR stunt for the Olympics. The first hour of it was, in any case. These guys get up and they actually set up some sort of tripod affair out there on the side of this space station. Now maybe the tripod was there already, but this sure looked like something that they had brought out with them. And so the more experienced guy went out first, and the the newer guy, the guy who's on his first spacewalk today, stayed in with the torch. And they actually had cameras from the inside of the, the airlock looking out, and of course then they had their respective helmet cameras on, and I think maybe even pictures from this camera they had on this tripod. So, oh, excuse me. So, they're going out, well, finally they let the junior fellow come out, and, he's having to pose with this torch. And I was dearly hoping that this bad boy would float off somewhere, because they have lost stuff up there. I mean, occasionally they'll let go of stuff without putting it in the little bag or something, and it just goes skittering off. And in fact, I think sometime in the last year, somebody lost an entire experiment off the side. They just lost it. I mean, essentially they dropped it. Well, they let go of it, and they didn't have all these little tethers on it. I mean, normally they have like 2 tethers on everything. They themselves have 2 tethers in different spots on the space station for them. And then quite often they will have 2 tethers from them onto their equipment bag or all their equipment, so that when they release it to move it somewhere else, they always have one, and then they can switch off and so forth. Anyway, this experiment floated away. Well, and then there's a tool bag that floated away with one of the Americans here sometime last year as well. Well, lots of fun, isn't it? So I was kind of hoping that this nonsense torch would go floating away, but no, these guys had tethers on it even inside the airlock. And they weren't letting go of this thing. I imagine Vladimir Putin would be very upset if they let go of that. There might be some polonium injections being done on the sly if that happened. You never know. It's happened before. I'll tell you one polonium injection that's been rumored to have taken place happened perhaps in the Mideast here a few years back. Well, I know I'm not supposed to rejoice in the demise of a fellow human being. I mean, getting that low life out of the way certainly, well, I can't say it helped, but, it wasn't a loss. I wonder if they shaved him before they buried him. Set that razor to stun. Okay, so, I mean, well, once they got done with the photo ops, then they stashed this artifact back into the airlock. Then they went about their tasks, and their tasks were moderately mundane. I have to admit, I started switching around at that point. I'd switch back, and it seems that at one point they were hung up for quite a while on a particular bolt they were trying to unloose. And see, these guys, the Russians, don't have these little nifty electric torque wrenches, that you put on, and then it's like a trigger thing, and they actually have like box end wrenches. They're up there using box end wrenches on this stuff, and that's a bit harder to manipulate, and of course, they can't tell how much torque they're putting on it, and all these bolts have torque specifications, and so there's all this back and forth between them and the ground on, well, you know, should we really become brutal with this? You know, I mean, how badly do you want us to take this off? You know, and at one point, one guy took like a screwdriver, and he hacked away at the insulation to get a better opening for this bolt. You can see the insulation sort of floating away. I'll tell you, they're very basic folks. They, you know, when they set about doing something, they just do it. I can't tell you whether they succeeded or not, because I switched off and started looking at some other things. Well, started looking at YouTube. Well, as it turns out, there's been no change that I can discern. I can comment in Safari. I can't comment in Chrome. I did notice, though, in Safari, and quite honestly, I don't know. Well, yes, it is a change. Well, in somebody to whom I do not subscribe, I noticed that I could not go down through the comments, and the like and, you know, the thumbs up, thumbs down thing underneath each comment was gone. And now that was in somebody to whom I wasn't subscribed. And quite honestly, I didn't notice whether it was present in people to whom I do subscribe. You know, as much as I watch this stuff, I can't get all that tied up in some of this stuff. You know, I mean, it's fun, but still, I mean, if that's a change, then that's a change, and then so mark that down as duly noted. You hear that neck crack? Actually, that's feeling pretty good today, right now. I was feeling awful earlier, but whine, 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 whine. Give me a break. So I finally bestirred myself and went out on the back deck, and we have 9 deer on the creek bank, which I was going to show you, but I thought, well, you guys have seen a lot of my deer. And also, it's been very windy today. The temperature's moderated. It's around 53, but up from like 29 this morning, but very windy. And so I thought I'll come in here and just do this in QuickTime Player 7 Pro. And but they were in different groups, and then when they saw me, there was a certain amount of tail raising and alertness. But then I talked to them, and they settled down, and then they all kind of wandered over and clustered together. So you had about eight or nine of these. As near as I could tell, all females, although there might be 1 or 2 juvenile males in there that they haven't run off yet. They'll run them off in the spring, so if they make it to the winter. You never know. We got coyotes around here too, so there might be a bit of thinning of the herd. I always thought that would be a good name for, instead of obituaries in the newspaper, you go to the obituary section. The title should be Thinning the Herd. Well, to anticipate tomorrow, turns out I'm reading tomorrow. I'm second reader. Well, actually, I might be all readers, because the fellow that was supposed to be reader number 1 called me from North Carolina and said that he's in North Carolina and he's not going to be back because he's running some sort of half marathon tomorrow down on some vacation watering hole in the Outer Banks, and he and his wife they actually own it, or they it's one of these timeshare co-owned things or something. So he's running in this half marathon, and I said, well, I said, how did I put it? Well, I hope you finish. And I said, but I also hope you don't finish, if you know what I mean. And he says, oh yeah, I know what you mean. This guy's in his 70s. He's one of these tall, I mean, he's tall. He's one of these thin, wiry guys. So that was that. So I'll be reading probably both roles here tomorrow. Now it seems that Paul's coming home right now. Hello, Paul. It looks like he's brought goodies here. Look, show them the goodies, Paul.
Got you a large pizza.
Oh my word!
Sausage sticks and Western omelets.
God has provided our daily bread, and so has the hotel. Well, I'll be a true YouTuber now and say, "Do you like my hair? Do you like my hair?" I cut it today, so that's $20 saved. Ding. Alrighty now, I'm going to say bye-bye now, YouTubers.